Hello, and welcome to episode 29 of Chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, and after these set of chapters, we're probably all ovulating at this point. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine. I'm Elizabeth.
And this week, we are discussing our read of chapters 35 through 50 of The Poison Daughter. And buckle up, because a lot happens. You might also want to go ahead and just get a fan now. A lot. But first, before we get started, what is everyone having?
Okay, so we are having a couple of things because I had to make something for my mom. So we're having some Earl Grey scones and we're having some brown sugar cinnamon scones.
Yeah.
And then we're having a brown sugar cinnamon tea. All right.
My husband keeps buying bananas and then not eating them. I made banana bread.
Nice. You know what? Honestly, good for you. Because I feel like I always say that, like the bananas will start turning, and I'm like, I'm gonna make some banana bread. Do I do it? No.
Well, I made some.
Proud of you.
And then I'm just doing like a vanilla green tea. I'm just super hydrated and water. All the hydration.
I had to make these for my mom has a friend that went over to my Nina's house, and mom was like, she wanted me to make a whole charcuterie spread. She wanted me to make 2 different types of scones. It was a whole thing. It was very tea house situation. Except there was no tea because my mother doesn't drink tea. There was a fancy water. And so I had to make these today. And so I was trying to be extra fancy because I don't usually make... These are the ones that I made for you guys. Mm-hmm. But they don't... It calls for you to put a little bit of food coloring in it to make the glaze a purple. So it's giving more of the lavender glaze part. And I was like... I'm gonna do that this time. I don't like how it looks. I think it looks like crap. I don't.
But it tastes good.
I don't like the purple.
I mean,
James likes them. He said that it did not taste like soap. Well, actually, at first he did say it tasted like soap, and then he was like, "No."
but then he kept eating it.
Yeah. And then she was like, "I think you like the taste of soap," and he was like, "No, it sucks." And then he just kept eating it.
It doesn't taste like soap.
It doesn't taste like soap.
In my humble opinion.
Well, you're supposed to steep it for 10 minutes, and I only do it for 3 because I don't want it to be overly soapy. So the lavender comes through, but it doesn't feel like, you can shower with it.
It tastes like sugar. It's good.
So, anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So we left off, we're going to dive into The Poison Daughter. Mm-hmm. We left off last week with Harlow finding the breeder being held in the armory and the confrontation with Stefan and Harlow doing her weird blackout killing of Joe. And then it sort of ended with Henry trying to convince Harlow to sleep in his bed to keep her safe. But she ends up just taking his wolf and slamming the door in his face, which seems to be a running theme through the book, is her slamming some doors in his face.
And taking his wolf.
Yes. So as we come back into chapter 34, Henry wakes to a nightmare. It's right after the scene, right? He goes to bed and they're in separate rooms, and then he wakes up to this nightmare that same night, and he hears Kyron whining from Harlow's room, and he goes to check on her, only to find her precariously perched on the balcony railing in the pouring rain. And he swoops her up, carries her inside, and she appears to be waking up and saying, she is I was asleep. I don't know what you're talking about. And Henry's you're trying to jump.
Clock that in your noggin, though. This scene for later.
Well, I have. I have some theories now. Because there's a lot with the balcony happening.
I agree.
So,
It's sus.
yeah. So Harlow tells Henry it's just a bad dream. Don't worry about it. But then she doesn't argue for once when Henry insists on taking her to his bed where he can watch her. And that scene to me was actually really sweet because you can see how much Henry cares about her and is actually concerned for her. And that in their little chat when they're laying in bed, he gives her an out of everything, of the marriage and the political alliance, all of it, because he's if you're breaking, just use your safe word and this is all done. And he didn't have to do that.
He didn't.
So I was actually a little disappointed when he woke up and she was gone.
He hates her.
Oh yeah, the amount of time they both tell each other they hate each other in the set, and I was I'm pretty sure hate means love at this point because I don't think either one of you hate each other. So the next day, Harlow asks again to go for a run because she'd asked previously, and Henry told her no because of the weird chasing thing. And Henry finally relents this time, and as long as he can accompany her. And I really think this must have he must have thought this was just going to be some kind of short jog, like just a little out and back quick number. But she tells Gavin to stay back and time them as they go on their loops. But Henry's like, loops? Because each loop is 5 miles. And he was like, loops plural. So, yeah.
Is 5 miles too long? Harlow smiles widely. Not for one loop. I wasn't counting on running more than 5 miles.
Well, it's just like the whole scene. He's just dying. He's just like, I'm like, I thought you're supposed to be fit. And he's like, it's like that scene with the Anyone But You movie or whatever that movie was with Sydney Sweeney. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you're hot girl fit.
Yes, that is so...
I'm like, that's Henry. Henry's hot girl fit. He's like,
hot girl fit.
He's not doing the cardio.
Except for when he's chasing his woman.
Yeah. Then he gets real fast.
Well, you failed some speed.
Yeah. So she
ends up... He's saying he's going to catch her if she runs off.
I'm like,
but he will.
They're like, maybe not. Because she takes off at a sprint right off the bat, right? And he's like, what the hell? Like, there's no warm-up or nothing. And he's back there just struggling. So he's trying to keep up with her. And on the run, she tells him she plans on doing like 4 laps 3 times a week. That's going to do it. This is going to be great. And he starts putting all of it together and realizes she's training to run home because it's 20 miles between Lunamead and Mountain Haven.
Oh, that was so cool though.
It shows how clever she is. Mm-hmm. Like she's like constantly just thinking.
But let's just say something happened, right? Like, even aside from like, this guy is the job, whatever, let's just say that either something happened to someone back home and she needed to get there quickly and no one was willing to leave. Let's say something happened to the fort and something happened there and she needed to leave. Like, it might not even necessarily be about like him or whatever. It's just smart. Like,
well, and she's always worried about Adia. If something happened to Adia, that she'd be able to just leave and get there if she needed to, or get back to those tunnels and get out for like good. Mm-hmm. So along the way, Harlow is noting all the landmarks, including a cave system and the gates that are around the place. And after the first lap, Gavin remarks that they're going a little slow, that they're like a little slow for her pace, and remarks that Henry must be holding her back. So on the second lap, Henry's like, I got this. And he decides to overtake and lead from the front. And he's just out there getting it. But he has once again underestimated Harlow because they hit like a hill and she's just gone. And he's out of steam and exhausted. And she's just got her second wind. She's like been holding back the whole time. And when they finally do get back to the manor, Bryce and Carter are there waiting. And Henry knows something is wrong. And they get like a missive from Lunamead letting Harlow know that there was an attack at Lunamead at the North Hold Gate. And that's where Rafe and her sister Adia are. So Harlow begs to go back, and Henry finally agrees that they can go back so she can check on everything. So in chapter 36, they arrive back at Lunamead. All the leadership is at Northold, and Rafe is sort of like given some kind of, just given a speech. He's giving this very calculated talk that's like done with a purpose. You know, he's taking accountability and he's kind of, everything sounds good, but there's like little hits on the Karen Wells. It's very like, he wants to make it right, and he's just like, he cares about the people, and so Harlow notes that Abel's in attendance and his aura is just out of control, which is very unlike the Karen Wells. They're taught from a very young age to like keep their shit under control, and she's like, he's gotten way worse in just the little bit of time that she's been gone. So during the attack, apparently several women were taken, and Harlow begins to wonder if it was the work of breeders that attacked, since she now knows that those exist and what they're doing. Henry notes that Adia isn't in attendance to this little chat that Rafe is having, and asks Harlow why she's not there. And Harlow's like, well, she's probably just too bruised to be there. And she asked Henry to go check on Adia for her because she knows that Rafe would never let her see her and would probably just keep her from her on purpose, like to hurt her, because he likes being a dick, basically. But also, I think it just, she kind of hints that it's just to like get him out of her hair in a way because she knows her parents are going to interrogate her about Mountain Haven and the marriage and everything else. And she just can't handle all of this at once. So she's like, one thing at a time. You go over there. So her mother also ends up asking Henry to stop at Northold and extend an invitation to dinner celebrating the marriage to the mayor since he's going to be over there anyways. Which I thought that... So this goes into my theory that we get a little bit later that I'm going to shout out there. But her mother doesn't say Adia. He says just the mayor.
I was literally
Rafe.
sitting here thinking, being like, Adia wasn't at any of the other social gatherings either.
Not one. She didn't go to
Literally
any of the
just
dinners. In fact, the only person who's seen Adia
is
Harlow.
Harlow. Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
And her, you know, her
Catherine's over there
madness-
just like trying
her
so hard.
madness, you're doing things. We're trying to figure things out.
I'm just remaining stoic.
So,
Trying to.
like, remember, she kind of loses time, you know? Like, even when she, again, we know she has a thing with balconies. She was just on top of one looking like she was about to kill herself. And then when the whole thing, when they were fighting, remember, she was like, I don't even know. She didn't even know about her fall and how she got down there or anything. And so
and
she
she
loses
has-
time.
She also has a lot of gaps in her memory.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't remember stuff from like her childhood and her past and like even more recent stuff. And Kellen calls her out on it. He's like, how do you not remember?
Right.
Like later when they're like she was looking for a painting. He's like, how do you not know where that is?
Yeah, he calls her out on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And she has the headaches. And I don't know why that it can't be healed. But it kind of makes me think tumor related or something. Like, does she have a brain tumor? Maybe it's more than just a migraine. I don't know. It's all odd. It's odd. And you're over here making faces, which makes it
I'm
really
not making any
suspicious.
faces. I didn't make a single face. I've been watching my
I'm
face
like-
to make sure I wasn't making faces. I'm
Catherine
breathing.
over here. I did not. I did not.
My theories range from like here to like up here, but I keep second guessing my theories because some of them I feel like don't make sense. But we'll see. We'll get to them when we get to them. So
I just think it's odd. I'm just tracking it. We'll see where it goes. But I am making notes. Something is suspicious.
I'm ready to hear these theories.
Well, I mean, even Rafe doesn't have any pictures. Like, it's just that tiny little picture. And there at some point, there has to be an accountability for your wife. You know what I mean? She's literally not in any of the functions. And I could see him being the person that he is, making her glamour herself to go to these functions because it makes him look worse when she's not there. I'm just saying. Sus. I don't know what's going on, but it ain't right.
It is suspicious.
It's so special.
so by
And she's
chap-
coming out of closets. Like, Adia's like showing up.
because the only place she's showing up is where Adia
Like in the bedroom. Yeah. Like, oh, she's hiding in a closet.
but
Okay.
she knows all of the things Harlow knows. We'll get to the
know.
theories.
Is she a little...
So by chapter 37, her parents are already like, they're back at the manor and they're like drilling her, asking her questions. They're noting Henry's unusual aura, which Harlow avoids discussing. She's just like, yeah, I noticed that too. And just like evades it. She also manages to avoid details of the wedding, giving vague answers about the ritual, saying that it's just like very similar to what we have here, just different, you know?
It's the same, but it's also incredibly different. You wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah. I mean, she's good at the double talk. She could have had a thing in politics. She's got it down.
Yes.
Just like what we do, but different.
It's basically the same except for the differentness.
So Abel ends up showing up to their little chat, dinner, lunch. I'm not even sure. There was chicken. I just very much remember they were eating chicken.
Abel.
Honestly, the more he talks, the less I like him.
He shows out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought it was funny.
In a way it was, but also like some of the stuff he said to Harlow, I'm just like, that's your brother. Like, what a dick. I don't know. It's like no one in this family Like, not one person in this family is going to treat you. Well, Kellen does. Kellen is great. I love Kellen. As the book goes on,
And the rest of the brothers and
Team
sisters,
Kellen.
they're, I mean, she was
Kellen
the
will
ninth.
remain awesome.
She
Okay,
was the ninth child.
one
All
thing I
the
can say.
other siblings are just kind of estranged. They don't really get mentioned.
Kellen will arguably grow more awesome.
I'm really like, there's several points in the story where I'm like, I really liked Kellen in these sets of chapters. He's a stand-up guy, It's just
He's just a good fella,
Right.
Kellen is a super, super cool dude.
I got a theory.
Because I said he was a super cool dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you
crap.
kept going on.
Okay.
It's just narrowing things down in my head. But we'll continue.
she's just like Chip. It's like a game of Clue. She's over here like,
I just
it's Kellen in the
Super
kitchen
cool
with the
dude.
candlestick holder.
emphasis on super cool dude.
He's super cool.
She's over here. Emphasis. Like, it's a hint, y'all. It's a hint. This is Catherine's way of saying, pay attention to Kellen.
I like Kellen. He has a lovely wife, very sweet family. Family man.
Pay attention. All right, he's gonna come back. Just look at Cora. That was a hint.
So Abel, he tells Harlow that he's not friend. Like, she kind of calls him out for being buddy with Rafe, and he's like saying how he's not friends with Rafe and that they're actually enemies, and it's like a keep your enemies close type situation. I don't know if we should believe him on that, but he did seem fairly disgusted with Rafe, so I'm like, maybe, I don't know. But at the very beginning of the book, they were pretty tight, or they appeared very tight. So who knows? But Abel also lets it slip because he's also not great. I don't know if it's the madness or just like it's just his personality. But him and Cora would have been great together. They just would have just told everybody secrets because he lets them know that like they've known about the drained evolving into the breeders for like a minute, and they never told her, even though she had to go through a forest of the drained. Into the city that had been attacked by the drained.
Hearing him like talk like that, in a way, it's like, is the way he's talking in the state that he's in almost him showing like some sort of remorse for that? He's not in how he's talking, but the fact that it's kind of like when like it's like drunken honesty almost, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, it just made me wonder if maybe like there was some part of him that like it kind of bugged him.
Look,
I don't know.
We know this family is not right. They are messed up. Stuff has happened. I don't know what happened to him, but I feel like the damage has been done.
Abel's got his own set of trauma. I mean, they all do.
I feel like, and I'm just getting my popcorn and watching it unfold in my head.
Harlow ends up cornering at this little dinner, brunch situation. The chicken meal. All I remember is her talking about how the chicken just kept tasting worse as this conversation went on and she couldn't eat. So it's stuck in my brain, the chicken. But she corners her dad about what happened when the fort fell and the role that they played in that. Because she tells him like Kellen told her, had warned her in ahead of time that they were going to blame her for what had happened. And her dad does admit that they were being attacked by the evolved drained, which means that they've been around for over 10 years and they knew that long because that attack was 10 years ago. Everybody else was making it, even when Abel lets it spill that he knew about the evolved, that they'd evolved. I thought, oh, okay, that's like recent, like they've learned. But like, that was 10 years ago.
Okay.
So her dad set fire to like the woods all the way up to Mountain Haven's gates. And he said that he thought the wall would hold, which that's when Abel just like, he didn't know any of this apparently. He was like really surprised, but then he starts laughing hysterically until they drug him and drag him away. And I was like, okay.
Which made me feel like he was kind of like, I don't know. It almost gave like of course you would do that because you're an asshole. Oh my God. I've never cussed on here before.
It's like writer's group all over again when I got all the little old men to cuss and write sex scenes. I was so proud of myself.
Don't make that a clip. Like, but no, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of, that's what it gave to me. It's like, because he starts laughing as soon as he hears that. It's just like, of course you would. Like, that makes so much sense because you're the worst. Because the dad is the worst.
That could be.
He is the worst. That would be better. Of course you would do that because you're the worst. We're just gonna...
You're like, if you could dump that in.
He's a butthole.
He's a butthole. Anyway,
You'd be all right.
She's all up in her feelings.
I'm in my luteal phase. We had a whole conversation about that before we started recording. Anyway.
So Abel gets drug out of the room, and meanwhile, her parents just continue on with this interrogation like nothing happened. And her mother suggests for Harlow to convince Henry that Rafe was responsible for the attack back then, and like to divert the blame. And it's like a whole two birds, one stone situation. He won't blame the Carenwells anymore. They'll get rid of Rafe, like who's been a real thorn in their side, and it's gonna just take care of everything. So, but the kicker is they want her to do it by the Dark Star Festival, which to my understanding is coming up real quick. Like, we don't got a lot of time. So Harlow agrees as long as her father holds up his end of the bargain and his word about letting her leave, and also that Gavin doesn't go with, which I don't think she stipulated the first time, so she was sure to stipulate this time.
Well,
Which her dad does agree to. I don't know that I would believe anything that man says. Unless there's
Did that happen in these chapters too?
about Gavin.
Yeah.
So she's like pretty trusting of her father's word, which I was like, after everything he's pulled, I don't know. I would not put a lot of faith in that.
And
it
even gets worse.
I'd be having some backup plans.
You find out even more crappy things about the Carenwells. They're just horrible people. Why they had 9 children. I mean, we know why they had 9 children, or 8 children at least. But like, why? They're horrible parents. They're such horrible parents.
So in chapter 38, Henry visits Northold, but not only is Rafe not there, but he never gets to see Adia either. So again, no one sees Adia except Harlow. Instead, a butler there that's at the home suggests that Henry can meet Rafe in town later at a bar. And so Henry goes there, he waits several hours, and Rafe never shows. Instead, Kellen ends up showing up, and he's like, what are you doing here? And what are you doing here? And apparently Kellen's there because there's like reports of a rebel meeting that was supposed to happen at this bar. And Henry is now like, I've been set up to look like a rebel.
I've been duped.
Yep. But I found it interesting that like Kellen was real quick to believe Henry, because Henry's just like, he's like, what are you doing here? And Henry's like, I got really sick of your sister and needed like a minute. And Kellen's like, that tracks.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just like didn't even question it. And I was like, okay.
I thought that was funny though.
I like him.
Like I would have maybe been a little bit suspicious.
A super cool dude.
He's done something. Oh, Kellen has done something for her to do.
So in the next chapter,
Kellen, he did
Harlow
something.
is back in her room, and Adia suddenly just shows up, sneaks in through like her closet or some shit.
Right? Something is not right with it.
So that's the only person that Harlow ends up telling about the actual wedding and what happens, and about like the sex ritual and like the whole thing. She also tells her about the sleepwalking incident that happened. And Adia reminds her that she sleptwalked as a child, which Harlow does not remember. And then
Harlow doesn't remember.
And she keeps insisting that she needs to try to remember the last time she was on a balcony. And she seems to really want her to remember the last time she's on a balcony. So after they talk, Adia leaves, and Harlow, upset about the bruises that she once again sees on Adia's face, puts on her most scandalous dress she owns and leaves. So this is about the time, and then it's sort of like I really wrapped up my theory, my unhinged theory for this set of chapters when we have the incident with Gavin, and he's kind of making his big confession, and he's talking about 6 months prior that something big happened. At first I was like, does Adia even exist? Is she like a real person or like a figment of her imagination? But, Henry did all this research on the family, and he seems to like buy in that there is
and there was
this
a
other
picture.
sister.
He saw
and there is a picture
and noted the resemblance. So she does exist.
So I do think Adia exists. I just don't know if she still exists.
I agree.
And now she's like a figment of Harlow's imagination.
We all kind of talked about this, I think, last time, about the theory that, we all Henry especially has been assuming that it was Harlow's father that was doing the abuse. And this was last week's theory for us, but we were thinking maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if
I feel like something really bad happened.
Yes.
I feel like our theory or unhinged theory was Adia caused the scars.
I would
I just
not
don't know what happened.
I don't know how either, because her power was glamour, so I'm not sure where the burns was not her, but we do know now that like
But she has a star. She has star-shaped.
she does. And her dad, we know now that her dad likes to give away his like not give away, but like give his power to other people to use for purposes that he wants to have happen. So I don't know. I do wonder if she did end up married, Adia ended up married to Rafe, was getting abused, which is why she just keeps seeing her over and over with the bruises all the time. And that's like her guilty conscience of like, I couldn't save her type thing. I don't know if Rafe killed her.
Maybe.
Accident. If Adia just like, the balcony thing is giving, and then with Harlow standing on the balcony, I'm wondering if Adia just like
blacked out. Yeah. I mean, she couldn't recount that whole thing when she was on the balcony. So something
I was like,
happened.
did Adia like kill herself and Harlow couldn't save her? Did Harlow like offer
Did
to like
Rafe-
save her? Harlow was
Did
just like,
Rafe
here you go.
do it and Harlow witnessed it? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Something's up there though. Something's got to be playing into that. I was like, there, no one else has seen this chick, and she hasn't shown up at anything.
Exactly. Exactly. But that whole plot, I feel like
I don't
it's
know
very
where in
suspicious.
my level of that theory this is going to fall, but I feel like it might be in there somewhere, somehow.
If it comes back, I don't know. But I feel like the book's got to, we're going to be heading into the last bit.
The last of the chapters, we're going to get
25%.
all our answers.
And
Don't
we're
expect
gonna
to get any answers till like the last like 10 pages. Good night.
Well, I got more questions even in
Well, I'm
these
just
set of
kidding.
chapters that we
You
don't.
do find out more than the last 10 pages, but
But a lot happens.
A lot
In this quarter,
happened in
a
this
lot
set of
happened.
chapters, but we like, there's a couple things where like we get a couple big reveals, but then no answers to it yet. And I'm like, so in chapter 40, Harlow goes, she's leaving in that super scandalous dress. She goes to Bee's bar, where Bee tells her of rumors that Racheli is spreading, that the girls that disappeared didn't disappear. Like they disappeared. But like they didn't disappear because of the attack by the Drained, but that the Carenwells were like using them as tithes to the Drained, and like the Carenwells disappeared them. And Bee points out a drunk in the bar that has been spilling the beans. Right. And like, she's like, this is where I'm getting my info from, is that guy right over there. And with the help of her very revealing dress, she is very quickly, like within seconds, is able to get this guy, Shane, to agree to meet her upstairs in a room. Except despite being very drunk, he's also super handsy and a little bit of a jerk. So Harlow ends up having to knock his ass out and tie him to a chair. And so she's like, well, crap, now I gotta wait for him to wake up. So she goes back downstairs and is like, I'll just get me a little drinky drink. While Bee is letting her have samples of her festival brew that she made for the festival. This was interesting to me, and I felt like it might be a red herring. But Harlow begins to wonder if Bee could be Racheli.
So this is the theme. We are directed now to Bee. And then we again get directed to Gavin later.
Yeah.
I'm not believing either one. The fact that we were given those two, and then also Rafe on top of that from the beginning. She's always considered Rafe.
I don't know.
Ain't none of them. My opinion, none of them.
I don't think that Bee is Racheli, but I do think that she could be part of
the thing.
Part of the system.
She does have a good system for it.
But back in the room, wait, so she's down there talking to Bee. Bee is like, what are you doing downstairs, girlfriend, when your husband's upstairs? And she's like thinking like they're playing some kind of weird kinky game. And she's like, I don't want to be involved in your kink, but like he's upstairs. And Harlow is like, uh-oh. So she goes back to the room. She finds Henry sitting on the bed. He's not exactly thrilled that she's back to inviting men up to rooms again. And then he sees her dress and he's really not thrilled. So they both end up partaking in the questioning of the now slightly terrified Shane. And he produces a note that he swiped from another rebel that had gotten a note directly from Racheli. So Harlow is reading it, but she only gets to read like the first little half. And then Henry steals it from her and he's reading it. She's like trying to get the little note back, and they're kind of like grabbing for it. She stumbles. He's trying to like grab her, and the note gets tossed in the fire. Harlow thinks that Henry dropped it on purpose, which we later find out he did.
Yeah, he really didn't. Although I believed he did until legit we got his point of view and he was like, I really didn't.
I really thought it was an accident. I was like, accidents happen. But
He was trying to rescue her. I was like, it's all right. And then he was like, yeah, I threw it in the fire.
Yeah, Daddy did it.
I was like, okay.
He was like, I recognize this handwriting.
I was like, I shouldn't have been so quick to defend you.
So after Henry questions Harlow what she was planning to do to get the information out of Shane, and she says whatever it took, Henry then uses... This scene was like very... give me a
We
minute.
need to see what she says for this
I know.
part.
I'm like, uses what?
Like, how am I... Because I'm like, we discuss this stuff, but not in super detail, right? Like, we keep it mildly PG-13-ish, other than my cussing, for the
I
podcast.
know.
Welcome to the club.
She'll bleep it.
It's a fun...
So you'll be like, bleep hole.
But yeah, I was trying to figure out when I was rereading the scene today for the recap, I was like, how do I gloss over this? So he ends up using his hands to control her hands. And he makes her masturbate while Shane watches, all while having Shane describe all the things he wanted to do to her. Which, once again, he does give Harlow an out. Like, he tells her she can use her safe word if she wants, which she doesn't because she's like weirdly turned on by all of this. And they just keep going. He does deny her an orgasm though. She gets like real close and he's like, okay, we're gonna stop now. And then he tells her to put the poison in her fingers, and then using those fingers, he like jams them in Shane's mouth and tells him to suck, which Shane thinks this is some kind of weird kink they have and is super into it. And then he's dead. I was like, what a way to go, buddy.
Womp womp.
It's a weird scene.
It was a ride, let me tell you. I was like, where are we going with this, Henry? What's happening?
It was a scene. It was a scene.
So Kellen finds Harlow in the library the next morning, and she's doing research on the wells and trying to find the source of the madness. She tells him about her experience with the breeder that she had and mentions that it could talk. Kellen questions what it meant by she didn't smell like his, that the breeder said, and wonders what the breeder might have scented. And I only mention it because that's twice now that we've mentioned the breeder talking and what he said. So I'm like, I feel like that's going to come back. I don't know how. I have no theories on that.
And, we were, even in the book, we were kind of like,
What does that
is
mean?
this because, his scent, is this because he hasn't claimed her? I don't know. I've clocked it. I'll pay attention to it. I don't really know what it means yet.
Yeah. So they find maps of the wells, and it appears like her father knew all along that the well in Mountain Haven exists because it's in the books, it's in the maps, like they had to have known, right? But while flipping through another book, she sees a painting she recognizes called Stellaria's Deathless, which I know we learn in this set of chapters that Henry is deathless. But it also is like they've been around for a minute too. So she asks Kellen where she knows that painting from, and he's surprised like that she doesn't remember it because it's hanging on the wall to the landing that goes to the family well. So she would see it every time she goes to the well. And he's like, why doesn't she remember this? So she asks to see it, and he takes her down there, and she realizes on that trip that Kellen is alone and asks where his bodyguard Ames is. Kellen said that with the increased attacks, he's put him with his wife and kids, which Harlow later realizes that's because Kellen's wife is pregnant. So I was like, aw, good job, Kellen. Taking care of the wifey. But
Kellen's a super cool dude.
So when she sees the painting, it does unlock some memories from Harlow. But you don't really get they're like little glimpses, and you can't really make sense of them. Like, you still don't really know what's happening. Like, her father's there, her sister 80 is there. There's a lot of fear and pain and crying, but like no description of like what the hell is actually happening to who and where and how. So you can't put the pieces together. You're just getting like puzzle pieces that don't match yet. So we need the rest of them. So Kellen seems to want what is best for Harlow, and even asking if she could somehow find peace with Henry and just stay in Mountain Haven. So I kind of get the vibe that Kellen maybe knows more of what, like, because he knew what the dad had done to Mountain Haven. And I kind of feel like maybe because he's like, he's the head of the guard. I feel like he's sort of got his finger on the pulse of what's going down. And he's not a big fan of Daddy either, because like he's trying to get he likes Harlow and he's trying to get her out. He's like, you just don't need to come back. It'll be all right.
Agreed.
After Gavin questions her about how long she knew Henry was immune to her poison, and she reveals it was before signing the marriage contract, and he realizes that she trusts Henry for some reason, and he doesn't feel like she should. And he warns her to be careful and is about to tell her what he suspects about Henry when Henry pops up from around the corner and interrupts them. So in chapter 43...
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was like, that really signed a... Which I will say, when we get to that part, I was like, I was kind of honestly a little surprised.
I was also surprised.
I was like, Henry...
I was a little surprised. I didn't think Henry would actually do it, but also,
I mean, it was kind of an oopsie. Like, in a way, it was an oopsie. But
He
also,
could
like,
just
just
heal him.
the planning of it, though, was like...
Poor.
Because he went to his parents and was like, it's time for him to go. Like, and I was just like...
It was a little off character.
Yeah, I felt like...
Really
I mean, he did kill right off the bat. When she arrived and, like, that one guy was, like, shitty with Harlow, and he, like, immediately sliced his throat.
But this is someone who, like, is Harlow's, like,
person.
And
he always seems to want to do what's right for Harlow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, like, really
that
surprised.
Did surprise me.
Yeah. And he seemed to kind of really like Gavin.
Yeah, he also did seem remorseful about it.
I think he went to his parents basically to be like, look, it's time for him to go. But I think that was more of a, if it comes down to it, me or him, is it okay if it happens kind of deal. I don't think he was wanting to kill him. I think he was really looking for answers and wanted to heal him and maybe just...
Well, he talked about how he was going to try and just get him to where he was close to death, and then he was going to heal him. And then Gavin's like...
kind of like a torture thing to get more... But here we are.
But Gavin really had her best interest, and so that was kind of...
That was
tough.
sad.
And I felt bad for Harlow, too, because I felt like she was trying to be, like...
Well, Gavin was
a big girl about it, but... I mean, he'd been with her since she was a baby, so
she don't know yet.
And he was like her father figure.
Kind of a pseudo. Sorry, every time we say that, I feel like I'm
father figure.
Harlow doesn't know yet in this set of chapters.
I didn't. Eventually she's
obviously she's gonna find out. She don't know yet.
Sorry, I didn't give away anything.
She has not found out.
Well, I mean, she responds in a very Harlow way. She's just a big girl.
I still very strongly feel like people probably read the whole book and then listen to the podcast.
That might be for the best.
I will say though, what I said was not a spoiler. I didn't like go into like what all happened in the revealing process. Harlow is always a very...
Eventually, Harlow is gonna find out.
Yeah.
I do realize that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine to tie up all these little questions and loose ends at the very end of the book, and you're like, oh crap, I forgot about Gavin. Harlow still doesn't know.
That's me writing
he's
the finish line, and I'm like, shit, I gotta do something with Tyler.
The dog is still at the neighbors. He never got him back.
I do have to do something with the dog. It's still at the neighbors.
I'm reading Mary's book. That was like the number one thing. Like, Mary, the dog has not come back yet.
Well, then my dumbass wrote in a second dog, and I was like, well, fuck, now I gotta keep up with this dog. You think I'd learned my lesson with the first one?
It doesn't surprise me. Honestly, I'm surprised that there's not more animals, really. That's the only thing.
There's a cow.
There's a cow. There's a baby cow.
So, in chapter 43, they're at their marriage celebration dinner that they were trying to get Henry to invite Rafe to, which he doesn't show up to. Harlow is stuck making small talk and answering questions about the wedding ceremony and avoiding those questions. And she gets hit with a migraine, like really hard and fast. And she's looking for Gavin and like trying to get Gavin to look at her. But Gavin's just chatting it up with one of the other bodyguards and can't seem to get his attention. But Henry notices and he comes over and he kisses her in front of everyone before announcing that they're going to retire to their room.
She is sitting on the bench.
She just wants to say hi. She says, hi, special guest. She says, my favorite scene is the one with the wolf. We're just alike.
Gavin.
Okay.
She says, hi. 5 stars.
Okay, good.
So her parents, of course, are shocked because they're now realizing that he is immune to Harlow. And Harlow's pissed because she thinks he's like trying to like flaunt that fact in front of everyone and realize that she has no power in this relationship. But he tells her that he was just trying to create a diversion to get her out, and he made her look desirable and not weak. And he gets her into the bathroom, and he takes care of her, gets ice brought up for her, even holds her hair while she's being sick. Like,
that was really cute.
It was. And then he stays and he holds her all night long. It was really cute. And I like that Harlow kind of caved. Like, in her head, she's like, I don't want you. But then she's also like, yay, you're here. So they wake up the next morning, and he continues to take care of her. And Harlow gets a note from Gavin that he left white roses for her sister. Does he say he left them at the balcony? Hold, please.
Wait, what?
Shit, now I gotta find the chapter.
Hold on, wait, I'm here. Hold on.
Okay. It's the note that Gavin left.
Yeah.
It just says I left white roses
for her.
Okay, it doesn't say where. He usually takes roses over once a week. Okay. For some reason, I thought he said he left them at the balcony. But
he leaves them. He means he left them for Adia. They're her favorite. If I dropped them off, Rafe would throw them away. But Gavin knows the servants at Northold, and he can slip in and out without Rafe noticing. He usually takes roses over once a week.
Yeah. So when Harlow reads this note, she thinks she recognizes the handwriting as the same as the note that she read that was from Rochelli. So she's thinking that maybe Gavin is Rochelli, but she's like, only because of the handwriting and his access to, all of the information that he has in the position that he has. But otherwise, she has trouble really believing that he could be Rochelli. When Harlow goes back to sleep to rest before Rochelli. So when Harlow goes back to sleep to rest before going back to Mountain Haven, Kellen comes to the door and very politely threatens Henry that if he hurts Harlow, like, he's gonna have problems with some Kellen, Henry in turn just tells him about the well water that kills the drained because he's just so excited someone cares about Harlow.
Yes.
So not only that, but he reveals that they told the father 10 years ago about the well water. And Kellen's like, Aka, excuse me? What?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, obviously a little shocked. That what is happening?
There's a motorcycle going down the road.
Is that what that is? Mm-hmm. I was sitting here like, what? I'm like,
I don't think it's Dwight.
He didn't text me saying he was.
No, it sounds like they're going very, very fast. So
they
not
are.
Dwight.
It's definitely not Dwight then. Well, wait, hang on. There's motion at the garage. He's been trying to fix up our Jeep. Nope, the bike's still there.
Me Happy Easter. It was very sweet.
Well, that's our fox that's setting off the ring. She's hungry. She had her babies. Yeah, if it's a motorcycle going fast, it definitely isn't Dwight.
It sounded like it just kept going. And then I was like, is it a fly? No, it's too far away for a fly. Then I was like, is it a motorcycle? And then in my head, I was like, I feel like I'm hearing this way too long for it to be a motorcycle. Like, where are they coming from?
There's someone behind us that runs.
I can still hear it.
My husband was like, oh, it's a lawnmower. It's not a lawnmower because it goes like, and I was like,
could be a lawnmower with that impression.
But no, it goes in and out. It sounds like a wood chipper. And I was like, maybe they're like chopping up bodies back there because it's like always in the middle of the night too. I'm like, who's chopping wood in the middle of the night? But then we were like, maybe it's a generator. I don't know.
That is suspicious.
It is suspicious. We are up here in the holler.
Yeah. Burying some bodies. Get a wood chipper and...
Well, that's true. They say in Appalachia you're not supposed to go outside at night.
Well, Mothman.
Yeah, but there's another one too. It's like supposed to be like those things that like can morph into other things. Like they'll knock on your door and they looks like someone you know, but it's not. Maybe
Changelings.
Changelings, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that would make sense because Appalachia was it was like Scotland. It was, Scotland and Ireland. Those folks came over because it reminded them of home. The mountains here did. So there's a lot of Scottish Irish heritage here that has permeated into this culture, and changelings were really big over there. And like fairies and sprites and all that kind of stuff.
Mythology is very interesting and very creepy. I don't feel like I ever hear like, you know how you have like the little brownies that are like in they're like a fantastical creature that just come in and sneak in and do housework. Like you don't have.
I had brownies in one of my books recently, and I was like, I had not run across a brownie in a book, and I was like, that's real cute.
It was like a little spider.
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
But they stayed with the house.
Yeah.
They like came with
they
the
did
house.
Your
These
chores.
just show up. And But yeah, with Appalachian mythology, no. It's just always creepy. It's never something.
It's inbred.
It's banana bread.
It's banana bread. Full circle.
Full circle. Welcome to our ADHD.
I actually, funnily enough, I read about brownies today in Christopher's little Fantastic Creatures book that my brother and sister-in-law gave him for Christmas. Also that, and there was another one, and I think it was Norse mythology. Never mind. One of the creatures that he had me read about. Anyway,
Chupacabra.
that's in there.
Aren't they more like? Isn't that Mexican folks?
It is. It is 100%.
You should hear Noah say chupacabra. He'll go, it's the, and he'll like
It's one of my
pause for
favorites.
dramatic effect, and he'll be like, chupacabra. He gets really dramatic with it. It's like a little inside joke that my kids and my dad have, and I don't really know the context, but I know that they'll just like, they'll do that to be like, chupacabra. And I'm
What
like,
about skinwalkers?
maybe that's what it was.
But that's not here either. Skinwalkers is more out west.
Hold on, I'm about to look this up.
Skinwalkers is to the west.
James got really upset because he was at Walmart, and
How did we get on the subject?
You're welcome.
Like I don't know how we got here.
Killing.
It was the motorcycle going by. You never know where we'll end up, folks. Sorry. It is called We're Already Off Topic. And we stayed on topic for a while.
you are right.
Skinwalkers? But they're technically not. They're
There's
not the
the-
Appalachian.
And a doppelganger.
Oh, I forgot about the Wendigos.
Mimics.
That's the screaming
Oh,
ones.
I think that one makes
And
These
hiking,
creatures take
yeah.
the form and voice of someone you know, such as a spouse or child, screaming or crying for help to lure people off hiking paths. And
But
into
you
dense
don't
brush.
see them.
But I've
you don't
seen
see
videos.
them. You only hear them.
I've seen videos of now. Obviously, these. I mean,
Are they
I
like
don't-
creepypasta videos though?
I don't know, but I've seen videos where, and like I don't believe this. I feel like this is just made up. But the way that it is like there's like someone at your like back door. And they're knocking, and you go and you look, and like it was like a door, like kind of like my French doors. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's not really a French door. Only one of the doors work. It's
Anyway.
a faux French door. Anyway, and like so you can see through it, right? And so like the person is there, and you can see them. And it looks like someone that she knows.
I think it's still a French door, even if only one works.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay, French doors, and like, but she knew that it wasn't her husband because her husband was in the house, and he was like appearing. Of course, obviously, like I said, I don't buy into this, but that was like how it was, and like they were talking about it in there, and then there was like, all in the comments about like, yeah, you don't go outside at night, you don't open your doors at night in Appalachia. And I was like, dang. I was like, what happens if you're like, you like have a late dinner?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
Anyway, poison daughter. Bring it.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, Tennessee is a part of Appalachia. Western Virginia is a part of Appalachia. North Carolina is part of Appalachia. I was like, I've been outside a lot at night. Never had anything bad happen.
What state?
So in our area, there's a group of people that think we have Sasquatch, which I like to call Sam Squinch from Trailer Park Boys. Got them Sam
So
Squinch.
like the Bigfoot thing is apparently really big out
It's really big here.
west too. Because like when we went to Oregon, everything had a Bigfoot thing on it.
Bigfoot, yeah.
Like everything.
I've literally
coulda
met
ended up with so
someone
much
here that
Bigfoot
really thinks we
memorabilia.
have Bigfoot in our area.
Okay, so
real.
Appalachian counties, but it's counties that are in each state. So you have Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland,
Those are
Mississippi,
states.
New York, North Carolina, Ohio,
Not New York, New York. She was just surprised from New York.
Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West. Just the East Coast. Like,
East Coast.
West Virginia is the only state entirely within the Appalachian region.
That makes sense.
That tracks.
Because let me tell you something. Every time I've driven through West Virginia, I feel like the whole state is haunted. I don't know why. Now, if you're from West Virginia, I apologize. It's a beautiful state. It really is gorgeous.
It is pretty.
But also, I get weird vibes.
I feel like they probably agree with you.
It's actually really beautiful, though. I went
It
to
is very.
Bluefield
It is
College.
gorgeous.
I stayed on the Virginia side, but I did go to Bluefield State, which is in West Virginia. And I remember I could walk back and forth between the Virginia and West Virginia lines.
I've seen a lot of people from West Virginia, like in comments saying, yeah, like,
Stay indoors. Like, legit.
It just like I think it's because of how some of the towns are, because they're like old mining towns, so they just give haunted. Plus, a lot of them are down
in a good way.
Yeah, Sure. But like they're usually like down here and then they're surrounded by mountains, so it's like a little claustrophobic too. I don't know. It's just like
Well, Bluefield was like right there in a valley, but it was so pretty. I would definitely. Very limited on what you could do, but I would definitely live there.
we were supposed to go to the Greenbrier, which is in West Virginia, and it's like a resort. It's like a fancy resort, but it's the underground. It's like one of the underground bunkers they built for the presidents to hide out in is under the Greenbrier, and you can do tours of it and stuff. And my history nerd husband wanted to go do a tour of it, and so we were going to go stay for like a day or two. But it was real expensive, but it's really pretty. We looked at a ton of pictures. When I say fancy, it's like it has a dress code. And there's like scheduled times for things, including a high tea in the afternoon, which I was quite excited for.
Is
Like,
Greenbrier
we're down for that.
Resort?
Yes.
The Greenbrier.
Okay, so
Book today.
Booked it.
the book.
The Poison Daughter. You can go cheaper on the book today because you can get one of the really weird, like half attic rooms where it's like,
Fun.
and it's like
Pretty
less.
ones.
But if you want like a real room, they're more.
I love a good attic room.
It's gonna be 3 adults. I'm just gonna say we're going. Just the 3.
Okay, girls trip.
Girls trip. Okay, so we got
$486 a night.
Okay, that's a lot of flowers.
But is it
in that
split
room.
between the three of us?
It's decorated in what is that style? That's like flowers on flowers, and sometimes the flowers look like they're moving. It was very popular for a while.
Well, this room here, the superior room with its superior flowers.
$530. It looks like linens, but it's just yellow flowers.
It does. Oh, this one's cute. This
Honestly,
is
it's
$640 a night.
It's running about the same as what your mom wanted. She wanted to come to the Omni up here, and I was like, "Girl, that's pricey."
There's this bed and breakfast I think it's in Asheville that I really want to go to. I want to say it's in Asheville. It might not be. I have to look, but I really wanted to go to it, and I looked at the prices, and it was really expensive.
I like Mary's
You can come stay here, and I'll just make you breakfast. We'll call it a bed and breakfast.
cook for me.
It was before you moved that I found this. That's why I feel like it's Asheville, but I can't remember. But it's really pretty.
Y'all make the food, I'll make the drinks.
That's fair.
Let's do it. We need our girls' weekend anyway in Asheville.
I'll get my husband to make penis pancakes.
It's his turn.
It's his turn. He
Okay.
agreed to do it. All right. So back to the Poison Daughter. Circling back.
We hit a lot of topics.
We hit a lot of topics. So they wake up the next morning and oh wait, we already did that. Moving on.
We're in chapter 45, I think.
We are. So 3 days later, they end up back at Mountain Haven, which I want to note that 3 days later, it was because Henry insisted that Harlow take as much time as she needed to recover from her migraine. Because initially she was like, I'm ready to go. I'll just power through. Put me on the horse, bitch. And he's like, no, we're not doing that.
Saddle up. Oh, I'd not.
Again, Henry just taking care of her.
That's really sweet.
Really hates her so much.
Is he a super cool dude?
Yes.
So they go to a dinner where they make a brief appearance and then they leave. Bryce asks to speak with Henry, which leaves Gavin to escort Harlow back to her room. They both notice the recovery room is like the only room they haven't really gotten a good eyeball on because it's continuously guarded. They haven't been able to get in there. And they both have kind of decided they need to see what's going on in that room. And they're kind of chatting about what they think could be in the room, but they're not sure what it is. Before they can reach her room, they are intercepted by Stefan. And there's a little bit of a kerfuffle, scuffle. And Gavin kind of pins Stefan and tells him not to threaten Harlow. But Kyron shows up, little wolfy Kyron, starts growling at Stefan, protecting his little girl.
Aaron coming in clutch.
So Stefan ends up leaving, but before he leaves, he says she will pay in blood one way or another, which is a little cryptic.
One way or another.
Or another.
Like, what does that mean?
Well, she does have some blood spilt at the end of the set of chapters, just in a different way.
Like, is she gonna become?
What?
A
I think I've
deathless?
forgotten.
There is blood in this set of chapters. It's just
I just didn't know how much we're given.
a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you guys find it.
She gets bit a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
So much
know.
biting happens.
I
He gets
did
real
not
bitey
look
real
like-
quick.
I also think it's funny how she went from, I hate this is horrible, I'm married to a deathless, this is whatever,
To
to
like-
you know what, I could get used to it. This.
She just got real on board real quick.
She did.
She's like, you know what? Put me in, coach. I'm ready.
I
Varsity
didn't even,
team.
Did anyone else? They talk about the recovery room over and over, and the recovery room was so cryptic. But what was so funny is that when we found out what it was, I was like, oh, like I was thinking it was like a steam room or something. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, they're just relaxing in there. It's like a little spa. Like I wasn't thinking like, oh, recover, you know.
Well, it's for them to recover their blood loss, I guess, or whatever. You know, like they're just supervision.
No, like they go in there.
I know
The deathless go in there to
feed.
Yeah.
They're recovering. That's how they recover their
For them, it's
their
a
energy.
spa.
They gotta eat.
Right. Yeah. But like before I knew that, I was like,
You're like steam room.
They was just like it's a steam
sauna.
room. I don't know why my mind went to steam room.
It could
but
still be that, and they're just
be
like
people
steam
in
rooms.
there.
Taking
Like
of
steam
the
rooms. They
blood at the same time.
feel like they would have bacteria.
A steam room.
Yeah.
I can get that. I understand that. Seems
Something
like
about the
moldy.
humidity levels just feels like it would breed bacteria. It's like a petri dish.
I get that.
Not a fan. So Henry is concerned about Gavin's suspicion and decides it's time that Gavin's got to go.
Time to die.
Yeah.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
And like I said, I was a little shocked by the turn of events. I was like, you're not just going to send him back or something?
You're like, who's going to watch her when you're out on hunt night? I love how he's like, hey, you babysit her while we're at hunt night. I'm going
to kill you later.
But I don't think he was going to really do it unless it was absolutely necessary.
That's a question for the author.
Because I feel like
on author special guest night, we can ask her and be like, was Henry really going to kill him? Or was it just an oops?
I believe it was an oopsie.
It's a good question.
So he updates his parents about his plans, who are on board as long as he can find a way to cover Gavin's death, make it look like an accident. And he talks to him about his trip to Lunamead. In our most shocking twist so far, while talking to his parents, we find out that why Henry threw that note in the fire and that he immediately recognized the handwriting was not Gavin's, but his father's. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we don't get anything more on that because he has a talk behind closed doors with his family about the plans, and you don't get any of that. And I'm like, Shayla, let a girl in.
There were no answers given to
Like,
questions during
The
this.
Raiders gotta know what is happening right now.
I mean, I was like, we've had his point of view up until this point. Why did we not get the rest?
I know. So I mean, at this point, it's giving. He's Rochelli. Like, he's leading the rebels. I don't know, though. Is he? I don't know. We didn't get anything. We just moved right on.
Well, I'm not going to talk.
So in chapter 47, after the meeting with his parents, Carter finds Henry and tells him Gavin has been poking around the recovery room. And back in their room, he finds Harlow getting dressed in a very scandalous green number, like negligee number, no dress on. Which I did find it cute that previously he had always asked what color things were that she wore.
He points this out.
And
I was wondering, is he seeing color now and just not telling her?
But because he comes in and he was like, is he? Did he?
We don't know. Well, I just
Did she
picked it
say
up
it
that
before?
He made the comment, like he comes in, he's talking to her, and he's just looking at her, and she goes, it's green, by the way.
I know.
You
So
always
he
ask
doesn't
what
clock
color
it
it
right.
is. I'm just telling you now, but he didn't ask. He didn't ask her.
He did not.
And I'm wondering, has he started seeing color? But then I thought later on there was a point where he said something about asking her the color or something. I don't know. Or maybe he was looking at her when she was in the white dress.
He knew it was white.
He knew it was
He said
white,
he could see
but-
white anyways.
Yeah.
But is he seeing color? Oh, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I was just thinking maybe he did. But
Well, he says she's wearing a dark lace bustier, but he
Yeah.
doesn't say the color, and then she
But
says it's dark
he
green.
didn't ask her. He didn't ask
But
her.
yeah, he
the
didn't
color.
ask, and she's just started telling him, which I kind of thought was cute. Because she's like, I know you like to know what color things are.
It is
But he didn't ask.
So she's getting herself dressed up, and she tells him that she has a present for him, which is an embroidered pillow where she stitched disembowelment in it, ? It's like Rocky. Disembowelment ? He tells her that he would probably bleed out first, which is something he has already died of, so probably not. Probs not. He tells her that the hunt is that night and makes her promise to stay inside, which she does not promise to do. She's like, I promise to not promise that. She's like, I will go to dinner.
I promised other people I'd be on my worst behavior. So.
Yeah.
But when did she ever obey him?
Never. So he leaves and he finds Gavin and says he wants to show him the wedding gift he has for Harlow, which he says is a custom set of knives that's back at the armory. Not suspicious at all, Henry. And once there, Gavin immediately knows something's up and attacks Henry. But he can't use his magic on Henry, which Henry pretty much tells him. It's like, I am not going to hurt Harlow, and you can only hurt people who are going to hurt Harlow. So, like, you can't use your magic on me. And I was like, that's kind of dirtbag to use that against him.
Yes.
But so they end up fighting with knives. Henry is able to get the upper hand, and he stabs Gavin in the chest. Gavin is sort of shocked and says that that's a death blow. And Henry's just like, nah, I got you, fam. I'll go heal you. And Gavin's like, nope. And reveals the real reason he was hired and the reason he was gifted the magic to protect Harlow is he is immune to all divine blessings. So no magic works on him at all, including Henry's healing magic. So Henry starts to panic.
His magic is the lack of being persuaded by magic.
Yes. Henry's like panicking. He's just going old school, trying to pack the wound, just with
That's
anything.
why I'm like, he didn't want to kill him.
And
He wanted.
but while he's dying, Gavin sort of goes into confession mode, right? And he's telling Henry that he should have. First, he tells him that others were born with holy fire, but Herrick, the father, just keeps killing them off.
Yes.
Which I was like,
what?
Like, you couldn't have like got them on your team.
He's a what? He's killing people? What'd you say? He's an
asshole. That's what you said.
No. Are you paying attention?
I was looking at, sorry, I wasn't in that moment because I was
She
looking.
was not paying attention at all. I was just trying to goad her into calling
I'm
what
sorry.
Hark really
I
is.
was looking.
Literally just finished saying he killed everyone else that had the blue fire magic, or the holy fire magic.
Yeah,
and
he's
you're
the
like,
worst.
he's a super cool dude.
I was Herrick. Got it.
Yes.
I was I'm where we are. I was just looking for something that I was going to bring up. And anyway, go ahead.
Did you find it?
No.
He makes him promise to tell Harlow he's sorry for what happened 6 months ago, but he never says what happened 6 months ago. And again, that's where I'm like, did something happen to Adia? Is that what happened 6 months ago?
What happened?
Did something happen to Harlow 6 months ago? Like, I don't know. But he does tell him that the Karen well sent her because the well doesn't work anymore, and just kind of like mumbles madness. So, like, we know the madness exists. I know Harlow has thought the madness is coming from the well, but we haven't had any real confirmation of that yet.
Agreed.
So I don't know if that is confirmation because Gavin seems to know a bit more than some of the others, but
Gavin is no longer with us, though.
Well, I also found it interesting because he said he was talking about how he was loyal to Harlow. And Henry says, yes, when it's convenient, when it doesn't put you at odds with your employer. As I understand it, you've only been true to that vow in the last few months. Gavin's eyes widen in shock. She told you. She told me. But, like, she didn't. I felt that was Henry trying to be like... I mean, she said that there was something, but she didn't say into any detail.
He knows. So, but it was brought up earlier a little bit about her and Henry have a talk about Gavin.
Yes.
But he's talking about the scars on her back because Henry assumes her father did that.
Yeah.
And Henry says something about Gavin not protecting her from that.
Yes.
From her family.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But Gavin doesn't understand.
And she confirmed that he didn't protect her from that. And so I think that was the reference that Henry was making.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's what I had put together. So
Chapter 48?
yes. So after dinner, Harlow goes to her safe room and finds Cora, the blabby lady's maid from the wedding night.
Welcome back to Downton Abbey.
Cora accidentally also spills the beans. We got a lot of bean spillers this chapters. That the safe room only keeps out the bloodthirsty, also known as the returned, also known as the deathless. So,
AKA.
I like how she's like, of course. So this room will
Neighbor.
keep out Henry and Carter and Bryce. And she nods and lowers her head, and lots more of
And you know the rest. Half the town.
she also tells her that they feed in the recovery room. I was just like, you're just giving away all of the town secrets,
we
girly.
know. I just wish Gavin would have known. before his passing.
I know, man.
Because he
I
did
feel
not-
like that was a missed opportunity. Gab should be like, what are you doing in there? Just tell me. What is it? I've been trying to get in there for weeks.
He didn't get the answer before his untimely death.
I did think that was a good twist, though, that the safe, because, you know, in the scene that you get, it's just with Harlow and Henry, and of course Henry can't come in. So what he's telling her tracks that it's a safe room for her, which it is a safe room for her. It's no one else, none of the returned can get in there. The drained can't get in there, you know. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's interesting. It was a really cool way for her to find out. Like,
Yes.
the way those puzzle pieces came together for Harlow was really well done by Miss Sheila.
I also really love when Henry shows up.
Yes. So, and that also means that the erotic story she heard in the bar about the Deathless was about Henry's
I remember
kind.
we were like, we got a story within a story, and we had clocked it. We were like, we need to remember
very meta.
this. It's coming back.
Be like, this was autobiographical.
So, of course, this puts Harlow into panic mode, and she's like, I gotta get out. I gotta escape. I got to bail. Harlow's packing her bags, right? She sneaks out the art room thinking that if she goes out that way, it's closest to the caves, and that's her best way to escape safely. Henry finds her in the art room. Okay, so she's in the art room in the dark. Says she couldn't find the candles. Just like has the worst excuses ever. He's like, what are you doing in here?
He's like, they're right here.
And he's like, I smelled you. And she's like, you smelled me? And now she's like, everything is like...
Yeah. She's like, I can smell my blood. So as they're standing in front of that painting that when she was in there before, he explained that painting shifts. It has magic in it, and it shifts into, you know, different emotions and what you're thinking about, you know, whatever. So that painting shifts, and it just shows like, it says like teeth or something in the book, but all I could imagine was like little Dracula fangs.
Yes, me too. That's exactly what I imagine were Dracula things.
Henry realizes that she knows, and he tries to grab her, but she dodges, and she ends up stabbing him in the ribs and runs away as his body hits the floor. So in chapter 49, as she's running through the woods, she remembers that it's hunt night. Oops. And of course she's out there in a white dress that she has on, which might as well have just been like a giant neon sign of like, chase me. And she realizes she's being chased and panics, but relaxes when it's Henry that catches her, which again, I think just proves so she's supposedly very afraid of him now because she's like, oh, she thinks he's like the drained. She doesn't even understand what he is. And yet she relaxed when she realized it was him that caught her because she still trusts him.
And I thought she was super fast and he couldn't keep up. I think she let him.
Maybe he's
I think
extra
she
fast
let
on Hunt
him.
Night.
Maybe he's extra fast. I think
she
maybe
realized
he's
he
more
was
than
gonna
hot
find
girl
her, and
fit.
She was like, I'm gonna slow down.
Oh no, I hope no one catches me.
He found his inner Edward. He's just like,
He's like shining.
oh. Apparently, if you drink from someone during hunt night, it's considered a claiming, which means she belongs to him. Again, Henry gives her a chance to say no. Okay. But she doesn't. And so he catches her and he claims her. Unlike the wedding night when he was pretty gentle with her, this time, not so much. So once she climaxes, he bites her and takes her blood, which is like part of that claiming ritual. And apparently the claiming also acts as an aphrodisiac. So now Harlow is just very much in her feelings. She's not in her luteal phase. What is she in? Her follicular phase? She is.
Her follicular phase. That's it.
She went from one phase to the next like that.
She is also now ovulating. No, just kidding. So in the woods now, all of a sudden she's like, he feels eyes on her, and there's like all these people watching her, and they just go at it like over and over in all of the ways that you can imagine. So much biting happens in
That's
this
chapter 40, 48, 49, 50. The end.
But afterwards, as he's like gathering her up to take her back, he tells everybody, he like shouts out into the woods that he has claimed her and that if anybody even looks at her wrong, he's going to kill them slowly. He carries her back to their room and puts her them both in a hot bath so he can wash her and clean her up after everything. And he's like kind of talking about how he's taken so much of her blood and she needs to like rest. But Harlow decides that, you know, through the claiming, it's very much her submitting to him and being taken by him. And she decides that it's her turn and she's going to take charge, and they go at it again. And they fall asleep in his bed for the first time, like where she just never even tries to leave. But when Henry wakes up later, she's gone and she's back in her bed with Chiron curled up with her. And that is where our chapters leave off this week, with all of the spice. Just a lot of spice.
We're finishing the book, right?
Yes.
Yes. So next week, we return with the final chapters, which is chapter 51 through the end of the book, along with our review and our star rating. And then the following week, we have Sheila Masterson herself on as our special guest.
Super excited.
Super excited.
With her.
So what are y'all's unhinged theories?
Something's up with Adia.
Yeah.
Something's up with
Adia is your
Adia.
big one. Who do you
Adia's-
think Priscilla is?
I mean, as of right now, I'm thinking it's Henry's dad. But
I'm thinking it's a super cool dude.
ooh, is he working with Kellen? That would make sense why he didn't even question. That would make sense why he didn't question Henry even being in there.
Yeah, and he has access to their schedules. Because remember,
he don't seem to be a big fan of his family. Maybe it is.
I don't know. Just how she kept just beefing him up.
He's a super cool dude.
He's a super cool dude. Just like Rachel.
I think Kellen's gonna have.
You think Rachel?
Not only just from the super cool dudeness, but also how much how much Kellen loves his sister and is protected of Harlow, and how much he seems to dislike his father and the things that are happening. And he seems to be genuinely the only good sibling, other than Adia, who we're not even sure is like a real situation. I feel like Kellen's going to be on the good team at the end. Like, I don't know how that's going to play out, because we still have a lot to deal with.
There's a lot that's going to happen.
I don't even know if some of it's going to matter, like the Poison Vixen angle, if that's even going to like need to get resolved, or if it's just going to get overshadowed by the rest of the plot, because we have the Mountain Haven side, we have stuff with Stefan that needs to get resolved, we have stuff with the Karen Wells and Lunamede and the Blood Tithes. Like, there's just so much, the Wells, the madness, there is a lot. There's so much packed into this book. Like, you understand
when
why
I tell you,
folks, I mean, obviously if you're listening, there's so many spoilers. Obviously you've read it, and if not, sorry. But like, she's thick. But sometimes when you get something this thick, you get like these sections where you feel like there's just a lot of filler, or whatever. This is not it. This is packed from beginning to end with plot and pacing and forward movement, and just so much is happening, and so many details and so many little plot twists and so many little Easter eggs. So yeah, and a lot of spice.
This last quarter is big lot.
There's no way.
I found myself literally, like, I was like at the end and I was like, how many pages are left? Like, because like it just felt like I was like, there's no way, and like
we're here. I mean, technically, I know we still have like a quarter left, but when you look, we actually have less than a quarter. Just how the pages worked out, and I think the chapter lengths and stuff. But I'm like looking and I'm like, that's a lot to wrap up in that little tiny space.
She does a great job.
Agreed.
So I'm super excited. I started Rites of the Starling, so
I thought about you. I saw it in Target.
I started it. So I read Onyx Storm blind. I did not do any rereads before I went into Onyx Storm. Was I confused at the beginning? A little bit, but it was coming together quick. I felt like I remembered more of Shield of Sparrows than I did of like Iron Flame before I went into Onyx Storm. And let me tell you, I'm digging through my boxes of books trying to find Shield of Sparrows so I can read the last 3 chapters, because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I remember the characters. I remember the monsters. I remember like most of the plot, but apparently what I forgot, and I sort of remember what happened at the end, but like I also forgot apparently some key details, because I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
So I need to read them back to back.
Yes.
Okay.
I would very much suggest, because I am frantically searching for someone on like Instagram. I need a Shield of Sparrows recap if anybody knows of one, because I can't find my damn book, because I was just going to reread the last little bit. And I'm not struggling. I'm enjoying it. It's wonderfully written, and it's great, and I'm already like a quarter of the way in, but I'm still like desperately trying to figure out what the fuck I missed. Recap would be great.
My reading has been rough recently. I'm still reading Silversmith. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm like, how far am I through it? I'm plugging away at it. I'm 42%.
That's not bad.
That's not bad, but
It's not bad at all. You were at 5% last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said like 4 or 5%. So yeah, that's a good chunk.
For me, this one, I like it. It's funny because it moves both fast and slow. I don't know how, because like there's obviously so much going on with the dude. I will say it's different from what I've read in the past, because a lot of times like things just happen like eventually, and with this one, like it's so clear that there's like a past, and we are not privy to it right now. And I'm like, what is happening? But like you're not getting any of those answers yet, and so like so it's like I said, like you're moving fast, and you know, but you're also moving slow. It's a whole thing.
I kind of felt like that when I read Anathema, where it was like fast and slow. I was
Yeah.
like, because there was like a lot happening, and the writing style and stuff, I was like just rolling. But also it was like she's a thick girl, and I was just there's a lot you were trying to like understand. And I was
Well,
like,
he knows like everything about her, down to like how she takes her tea and when her birthday is. But like she has no clue who he is. And I'm like,
stalker.
but like like the way that he acts, it's giving like they have a past and she doesn't remember it. Like that's almost like what it's. And I don't know, but I want to know, so I'm gonna keep going. But it's different than what I've read before, so I'll give it that. All right, next week, Poison Daughter, last chapter.
Final chapters.
Mine's a 5. I'll say it again next week though.
She'll have to really piss me off for it to not be a 5. I'm loving it. So
He's gonna be like 5. In the next book, I also rated a 5, and you'll be like, "Well, we haven't even chosen the next book." She probably already read it.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
yeah, you.
Yeah, we need to.
But we will see everybody next week to finish up The Poison Daughter.